What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are finally getting all Mafty up in here as we cover Hathaway's Flash. This is our coverage of the light novel, and not the movie, though we will be making comparisons. I would like to think that I will eventually cover the movie trilogy, though I am sure I will be dead before they finish the 2 remaining movies. One thing that we have to note before starting is that the light novel is a direct continuation to Beltachika's Children. Unicorn doesn't exist yet, so this is treated as the next big event post Char's rebellion. This time, we head to Universal Century 105, where we meet Kenneth of the Kimberly Task Force as he heads to Earth. His shuttle is hijacked, but a young man helps them out. So let's get into this. Kenneth's leg passes by a young man on his laptop. They are in 0G, and you can easily float over someone, but it is considered poor etiquette to do that. He is currently on the shuttle of the Haunzen, and many other people on board are a part of the privileged class. There are 40 passengers and a crew of 5 on this flight, whether you are an Earthnoid or a Spacenoid. Being on this flight means that you are well-connected or powerful. Because of this, Flight 357 doesn't have to go through your typical immigration and customs process. Being able to get a ticket on the Haunzen is your security clearance. The Haunzen is also one of the few ships that can enter Earth's atmosphere. I imagine you have to take a shuttle or use a mass driver system to leave Earth's orbit, then dock with a different ship that will take you to your location. Or maybe the moon acts as a spaceport, although if that were the case, imagine going to Side 4. You have to pass it just to go to the moon and then travel back to the L1 point. That is why no one visits you on Side 4, Craig. It's the Valley of Space Colonies. No one's going to the Valley. Kenneth attempts to sit next to a young Gigi and Andalusia. Kenneth has been finding himself a little bored with his position on Earth currently, but it isn't without its action, as his Kimberly Task Force is currently dealing with the terrorist organization Mafty. Things have picked up recently, as his underling, Lane Aim, became the test pilot for the new Penelope unit. He was also recently appointed as the leader of the Kimberly unit. This is how he was able to get a seat on the Haunzen. He was able to use his pool in EFF to get the fastest trip back to Earth. As most of the people on this flight are some of EFF's elites, Kenneth certainly feels out of place. He goes to the bathroom where he looks at himself and wonders why his ex-wife Laura would leave such a handsome man. At least you have a good attitude about it. Just kidding, he's gonna be obnoxious in a little bit. He heads back to his seat where he sees a few EFF cabinet members and their wives/mistresses. Many men have come over to talk to Gigi, and Kenneth is no different, though she is blunt about the conversation being temporary. In the movie, it is noted that Gigi purchased both tickets to prevent this very thing from happening. They have some small talk before she asks Kenneth what he thinks of Mafty Aaron. He hesitates to answer, but she knows that he is heading to Earth to try to stop Mafty. She seems to be able to sense what he is thinking. He hesitates again, but she pushes for an answer. Kenneth says that he is a dangerous individual that needs to be stopped. Most of the press has resorted to writing their puff piece, claiming that Mafty may be the next Char or Amado. Mafty is targeting members of VFF and planning on cleansing the world by making everyone leave. She seems to be done with Kenneth. When he asks her what her opinion on Mafty is, she says that she finds him cute. Kenneth can sense that she is done talking to him, so he floats back to his seat next to a young man. In the movie, she outright says, "I'm done talking to you," and another guy makes a move. It is time for the last meal of the flight. As Gigi heads to the lounge, many of the women on board are getting jealous of the attention Gigi is getting. The young man heads to the lounge to move his feet and to prevent himself from laughing in front of all the insecure middle-aged women. He heads to the bartender and jokes about ordering a glass of milk, but eventually orders a wild turkey. Good to know wild turkey still exists in Universal Century. The two strike a conversation. The young man is only here because of his father, though his position does allow him access to freely travel from Earth to the colonies, so he can't complain. For the common individual, it is hard to travel to Earth these days. He tells the bartender that he is a candidate for a biological observer position. The conversation changes back to Mafty, as he wonders if EFF plans on exterminating them. That is when Gigi yells out loud across the lounge, saying the media thinks he is a savior. A cabinet member that she is yelling at is playing it off, saying that this is nothing but trashy tabloids and not to give them any attention. She says that even if that were the case, things like the news ticker and graffiti are saying one thing: Mafty Aaron is the Messiah, the second coming of a new type, and Mafty will purify the Federation government. The young man and bartender wonder how a girl like her gets a ticket on a ship like this. The bartender thinks that she is someone's mistress, even though she is still in her teens. That is when crew member Mace Flower walks in, as she has been busy dealing with the socialite satellites. She plays a very minor role in the movie where she has a brief conversation with Kenneth. She refills her supplies and goes to give Kenneth a bourbon as they prep for landing. He tells Mace, and I quote, "Well, I will not go into too much detail, for you might mistake me for a racist or some sort, but I came to a conclusion that every blonde is different." This is a really blunt thing to say, but it is in relationship to his ex-wife. His ex was a controlling person and a blonde, so he stereotypes blondes, but claims that Mace is different. You know, explaining that doesn't make Kenneth come off any better. No wonder the birth rate is down in Japan. He says, regardless of the pain, he still likes blonde white women. This is the kind of guy that ends up dating the same kind of woman and doesn't grow from his experiences. Here's a great lie that Kenneth tells himself, as I quote, "The reason why Kenneth was able to like a girl named Gigi Andalusia was not because of the sentimental reasons, but her existence itself. It was both rational and intuitive at the same time. It was not physiological." Nah, man, you're lying to yourself. It is all physical. You barely talk to this person. However, he begins flirting with Mace when the young man passes by him. He says, "Excuse me," to Kenneth. This is the first time the young man spoke to him. He continues flirting as she doesn't relate to EFF. In UC 105, the EFF military and government is seen as the elites, as there have been 13 years of peace and the military is not being fought by the average person. Kenneth agrees with Mace, though the military allows him to be around mobile suits. He is lucky to be doing something he loves. He thinks that mobile suits at least never betrayed him in life. Oh my god, your wife divorced you, get over it. As much as he loves flirting, he believes that women have been nothing but an obstruction in his life. The Haunzen begins decelerating as it makes it into the upper atmosphere. Everyone goes back to their seats and puts their tray tables and the upright and locked position. Kenneth notes that Spacenoids always get nervous entering the Earth's atmosphere. When on Earth, air, as he puts it, flows. As a pilot, flying in space is a constant, but that can't be said for Earth's atmosphere. That is when the ship experiences extreme gusts of turbulence. Everyone in the cabin is bouncing around. The young man next to Kenneth says that it is a base jabber, but from whom? In the anime, these terrorists were dropped off by a Gap plant instead. The young man moves closer to Kenneth and says that they aren't trying to kill them. This is a hijacking. Another crash happens, causing Mace to float off. The young man goes to save her. They are at the bow of the ship, and they just hear noises coming from the back. Kenneth goes to investigate, gun in hand. One of the cabinet members, Einstein, tries to stop Kenneth from attacking out of fear of his and his cabinet members' lives. He tells the cabinet member that is ridiculous, but a muffled voice behind him suggests that he complies. He assumes it is a terrorist, and a gun is pointed right at him, so he listens, tossing the gun down. The hijacker claims to be Mafty Aaron and is wearing a pumpkin mask. Pumpkin Man approaches the young man and Mace. Some of his men head towards the cockpit. The terrorists force Kenneth to sit, and they inform everyone that they are not here to kill them. However, they currently need funds, so they are holding the cabinet members prisoner until EFF pays up. One cabinet member wonders how they figured out the location of this ship. EFF covered up the Haunzen's location for this reason, but considering they know it, it can be assumed they knew this whole time and chose now to attack. The man continues asking questions, but Mafty shuts him up by shooting him until his mouth stopped moving. His wife screams as blood goes everywhere. The people in the cockpit try to contact Hong Kong to communicate their demands. Mafty grabs the passenger manifest and does a roll call. Mafty calls out to Gigi, then calls out to Hathaway Noah. The young man raises his hand. Mafty wonders if he is that Hathaway, referring to being the son of the Great Slapper. He thought he was a part of an anti-military and anti-ideology group, but he doesn't care, as he now has a new hostage. Mafty makes Hathaway wrap up the dead minister. As he does so, his wife, who passed out from watching her husband die slowly, comes to. She begins yelling and screaming for the dead husband. Mace tells her to be quiet or she will be killed. Sure enough, Mafty shoots the wife in the back of the head. In the movie, Hathaway and Gigi have a new type moment, but in the light novel, she just says out loud, "Hey, you should kill these fake Mafty guys." Hathaway had his suspicions, but this causes Pumpkin Man to be taken aback. He lets his guard down, and Hathaway makes his move. The fight is a little different as Hathaway takes out the fake Mafty quickly. Then he takes out Pirate Mask Guy while Pumpkin Man gets up. That is when Kenneth puts a knee on the terrorist's back. Unlike the anime, in the light novel, Kenneth's hands are tied. Hathaway heads to the cockpit where he kills one man and tells the other to surrender and tells the base jabber to withdraw. In the movie, Kenneth gets an assist by killing the final hijacker. They tie up the terrorists as Kenneth gets his restraints off. The uninterested Gigi is suddenly all into Hathaway and Kenneth after saving the day. However, Hathaway is bothered by her words. How did she know they were the fake Mafty? And that will do it for this episode. The light novel gives you some time to learn about Kenneth, unlike the anime, which dives directly into the terrorist attack. Next time, EFF will assist the Haunzen. The shuttle will be diverted from Hong Kong to Davao in the Philippines, and Hathaway has a conversation with Gigi. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, if you are in a hostage situation, don't be the first guy to try to pay your way out. Peace.